At 6:47 a.m., 3 sharp knocks shattered my peace. I opened the door in my pajamas, tea still warm in my hand. There stood my mother, mascara streaked, designer luggage at her feet, that same cold smile I hadn't seen in 7 years. "This place is wasted on you, Keela. No partner, no kids. We've decided. You're taking the guest room. We're moving into the master." I stood there, frozen, remembering the last time I saw that look. The night I begged her for help in the pouring rain. The night she watched me shiver on her doorstep and shut the door in my face. The night I slept in my car while they laughed over dinner. She thought I'd forgotten. She thought I was still that desperate girl. What I did next? She's still trying to undo it. Stay with me. You'll want to see how this ends. And if you've ever been the rejected, the one who had to build everything alone, hit that subscribe button. This channel, Revenge with Nick, is for us, the ones who survived the people who were supposed to love them. Now, let me take you back to that morning, because you need to understand how we got here. The cold bit through my thin cotton shirt as I stared at the 3 of them standing on my porch. My mother, Diane, in her cream blazer that probably cost more than my first car. My stepfather Vincent behind her, arms crossed like a bouncer waiting to throw someone out. And Amber, my half-sister, holding up her phone, recording, that smirk playing on her lips like this was all some joke. The red light on her camera blinked at me, mocking. "Did you hear me, sweetheart?" Diane's voice dripped like honey laced with arsenic. "Family shares? That's what family does." Vincent stepped forward, his hand already reaching for my doorframe like he had every right to it. Like this house I'd bled for, cried for, built from nothing, like it was his. "We're not asking, Keela," he said, his voice flat, final. My tea had gone cold in my hand. The steam stopped rising minutes ago, right around the time my brain tried to process what was happening. They weren't visiting. They weren't asking for help. They were moving in. Just like that. No warning. No conversation. Just a demand dressed up as a family reunion. "This is a 3-bedroom house," Diane continued, already eyeing the hallway like she was planning furniture arrangements. "You don't need all this space. We do. Amber needs somewhere stable while she figures out her next steps. Vincent and I are between places right now. And honestly, Keela, it's selfish to hoard all this room when your family needs you." Selfish. That word hung in the air between us, heavy and familiar. I stood there, my hand tightening on the door until my knuckles went white. And suddenly I was 26 again, soaked to the bone, standing on their porch, begging. Most people never see betrayal coming from family. They think blood means loyalty, protection, love. I learned different. I learned it 7 years ago when I lost everything and came to them with nothing left. When I stood in the rain and asked for a place to sleep, just a couch, just a floor, just anything. And they looked at me like I was a stranger begging for spare change. And now, here they were, on my doorstep, demanding I hand over what I built. My voice came out calm, surgical, cold enough to frost the morning air between us. "You have 10 seconds to step back. But to understand why those words came out so cold, you need to know who I was before this moment, before the house, before I learned to lock doors and build walls. You need to know about the girl who kept hoping. I was 9 years old the first time I realized I was optional. School art show, spring semester. My painting, this messy, colorful thing of our backyard garden, won second place. They called my name over the loudspeaker. I remember scanning the crowd for her face, for that proud mom smile I'd seen other kids get. Diane showed up 40 minutes late, missed the announcement entirely, stayed for maybe 10 minutes before she checked her watch and said Amber had a dentist appointment. "Art's not a real skill anyway, Keela. Focus on math." She left before I could show her the ribbon. 5 years later, I turned 14. Amber got a pool party, 60 guests, a DJ, a chocolate fountain that cost more than our rent. I watched from my bedroom window as kids splashed and screamed and celebrated her. My birthday came 3 weeks after hers. Diane handed me a grocery store cupcake during a commercial break of whatever show she was watching. Single candle. Not even a plate. Make a wish, honey. I ate it alone in the garage. Through the walls, I could hear laughter from Amber's sleepover inside. 8 girls, pizza boxes, music. I sat on a paint-stained tarp and tasted artificial vanilla and something else I couldn't name back then. Loneliness has a flavor. It tastes like discount frosting and swallowed tears. When I was 16, I got a job at a bookstore. Opening shifts before school, stocking shelves until my arms ached. Every paycheck went into a shoebox under my bed. I labeled it in thick black marker, "College, do not touch." 18 months of work. $1,840. I came home one day and found it empty. Diane didn't even look up from her tablet when I asked where it went. Amber needed braces. You'll understand when you grow up. No apology, no discussion, just gone. Then graduation. I worked my tail off for that 3.9 GPA. Honor roll, acceptance letter to State University. I thought maybe this time she'd see me. Really see me. Diane showed up late, texted through my name being called, left immediately after for Amber's volleyball tournament. Vincent didn't come at all. Someone had to drive Amber. I remember the metallic taste of swallowing tears on that gym floor, the sound of Diane's heels clicking away, the smell of that grocery store cupcake still haunting me, artificial vanilla and the kind of loneliness that settles into your bones. I wasn't mistreated. Not really. I was just optional, like a side character in someone else's story. If you've ever been the extra in your own family, you're not alone. Comment a black heart below. I read every single one. At 19, I moved out. A studio apartment in the rough part of town. $450 a month. Roaches in the kitchen. Bars on the windows. But it was mine. Diane's only response came via text. Make sure you have renter's insurance. For the next 7 years, I learned what survival actually costs. At 21, I was working 3 jobs. Call center from 8 to 4. Headset digging into my skull. Angry customers screaming about bills I couldn't fix. Retail from 5 to 9. Folding clothes other people threw on the floor. Bartending on weekends. Sticky counters and men who thought a $5 tip bought them conversation. My diet was instant noodles and peanut butter eaten straight from the jar standing over the sink. Black coffee. Lots of it. Sleep came in 4, maybe 5-hour chunks, usually interrupted by my upstairs neighbors throwing things at each other at 2 in the morning. But I graduated. Associate degree in business management. I wore a borrowed cap and gown that smelled like someone else's perfume and took a photo in front of the college sign. I sent it to Diane. 3 days later, she responded, "Congrats. Amber just got early acceptance to Stanford. We're over the moon." That was it. 2 years later, at 23, I got promoted. Shift supervisor at the call center. $38,000 a year. It wasn't much, but for the first time in my life, I wasn't drowning. I called Diane. Actually called her. Voice shaking with something that felt dangerously close to hope. "I got promoted, Mom. Shift supervisor. 38,000. Silence. Then, 38? Vincent made that at your age without breaking a sweat. But, good for you, I suppose." I heard Amber laughing in the background. Then Diane's voice shifted. Warm, bright, alive in a way it never was with me. "Amber, honey, tell Keela about the internship." I hung up before Amber could get on the line. At 24, I got invited to Amber's graduation dinner. Upscale steakhouse, white tablecloths, waiters in vests. I showed up in my best thrift store blouse and sat at the far end of the table while they toasted Amber's future. Her internship, her apartment in the city, her boyfriend who worked in finance. When the waiter brought the bill, Diane slid it across the table toward me. "You're doing well now, right? This one's on you." $340 for a meal I barely touched. I paid it, smiled, left. Then at 26, everything collapsed. The tech startup I'd been working at for 18 months folded overnight. Funding dried up, doors locked. My final paycheck bounced. 72 hours later, an eviction notice slid under my door. $2,400 or get out. I sat on my apartment floor holding that paper-thin notice, edges already curling. The fluorescent lights above me flickered like they were dying too. Panic tasted metallic, sharp, like biting down on aluminum foil. She was 72 hours from homelessness. And her family? You won't believe what they did next. I stared at my phone, at Diane's contact. My thumb hovered over call. One last time, one last chance. I pressed it. It was 11:47 p.m. when she answered. "Keela, it's late. What?" My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. "Mom, I lost my job. The company shut down. I'm being evicted. I just need $2,400. I'll pay you back in 2 months. I swear." Her voice went cold. Ice over steel. "We can't keep enabling your poor decisions." Poor decisions? The company went bankrupt. You should have had savings. You should have been smarter. We're paying Amber's grad school tuition right now. We don't have spare cash for... Mom, I'm about to be on the street. Silence. Then, maybe that'll teach you responsibility. Click. I sat there staring at my phone screen. Call ended. 12 seconds. That's how long it took for my mother to decide I wasn't worth helping. 20 minutes later, I was in my car driving to their house. Vision blurred. Tears I didn't remember starting. Traffic lights smearing into streaks of red and green. I parked across the street. Their house glowed. Warm. Golden. Mocking. Through the bay window I could see them. All three of them at the dinner table. Diane leaning forward, laughing at something. Amber showing them her laptop screen. Vincent pouring red wine into crystal glasses. A family, complete, unbothered, like I didn't exist. I got out of the car, walked up to the door, knocked. Soft at first, then harder. Diane opened it. Irritation flashed across her face before she smoothed it into something neutral. "Keela, what are you doing here?" "Please," my voice cracked. "Just let me stay a few nights. The couch, the garage, anywhere. Just until I find work." Vincent appeared behind her. "Absolutely not. We're not running a charity." "I'm your daughter." Diane's voice went sharp. "You're 26 years old. Act like it." Amber wandered over, curious. "Is she crying?" Diane's face went hard. "Go inside, Amber." "Mom, please, I have nowhere." Vincent stepped forward, blocking the doorway completely. "Go home, Keela." "I don't have a home." The door closed. The lock clicked. I stood there as the rain started. Soft drops at first, then a downpour. Through the window, they went back to dinner like I was never there. Vincent refilling glasses, Diane laughing, Amber scrolling on her phone. My reflection stared back at me from that window. Soaked, shaking, invisible. That door closing? It was the last time I begged them for anything. What I built next made them the beggars. I walked back to my car, sat in the driver's seat, watched the rain blur the windshield into something I couldn't see through. And for the first time in my life, I stopped hoping they'd love me. Rock bottom has a temperature. It's the kind of cold that seeps through metal and glass and settles into your bones. The kind you can't shake even when the sun comes up. I lived in my car for 3 weeks, a 2004 sedan with a broken heater, parked behind a 24-hour diner where nobody asked questions. A gas station attendant gave me a blanket on night 4. Thin, scratchy, smelled like cigarettes. I cried when he handed it to me. I showered at Planet Fitness using a 7-day guest pass. Charged my phone at coffee shops, nursing the cheapest drink on the menu for 3 hours while I filled out applications on their Wi-Fi. 43 applications sent. 2 responses, both rejections. I brushed my teeth in Walmart bathrooms while security guards watched me like I might steal something. Used fast food napkins as toilet paper. $8 menu items and rationed them across days. Breakfast burrito split into 3 meals. Some mornings I'd wake up to frost on the inside of my windows. My breath had frozen there overnight. People looked away when they realized. You can see it in their eyes. That moment they understand you're not just sitting in your car, you're living in it. They'd glance over, then snap their gaze forward like you'd burn them if they looked too long. Week 3. Someone knocked on my window. I looked up. Ria, my old coworker from the call center. Keela, what are you doing out here? I tried to lie. Opened my mouth to say I was just taking a break, just waiting for someone, My voice cracked. Tears came instead. Ria didn't ask questions, didn't make me explain, just said, "Come with me." Her apartment was small, but clean. The spare bedroom smelled like lavender detergent. She made tea and handed it to me without a word. Let me sit there shaking, holding that warm mug like it was the only solid thing left in the world. Stay as long as you need. No rent. Just help with groceries when you can. 2 days later, her partner Julian came home. He owned a small property management firm, looked at my resume spread out on their kitchen table. "You're overqualified, but I need someone organized and ruthless about deadlines. $35,000 to start. You in?" My voice came out hoarse. "When do I start?" "Monday." He looked at me. Really looked at me. "And Keela, you're gonna be fine. I've seen people come back from worse." That night, I slept in a real bed for the first time in 3 weeks. Clean sheets. A pillow that didn't smell like gasoline and desperation. I cried myself to sleep. Not from sadness, from relief. I went from sleeping in a car to building an empire. But revenge? That came later. And it was surgical. 6 months later, Julian called me into his office. "My uncle's selling his house in the suburbs. Needs work, but it's $210,000. You qualify for a first-time buyer program. Want it?" The house had peeling paint and an overgrown lawn. The kitchen was straight out of 1992. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, cracked driveway. To me, it was a castle. Closing day, the loan officer handed me the keys. I sat on the front steps and sobbed so hard a neighbor came over to check if I was okay. I was more than okay. I was home. Year 1, I painted every room myself. YouTube tutorials at 2 in the morning, paint in my hair, arms aching. I fixed the leaky sink with a wrench and sheer stubbornness. Planted a garden. Tomatoes, basil, wildflowers that attracted bees in the summer. I turned the second bedroom into an office. Julian promoted me to senior property manager, $52,000 a year. I picked up bookkeeping for local businesses on weekends. By year 3, I was making $68,000 combined. I saved like my life depended on it, $30,000 in an emergency fund. Because I'd already lived the emergency. I knew what it felt like to have nothing. I met Owen at a community garden workshop. He was a contractor. Quiet, steady, kind in a way that didn't announce itself. He helped me renovate the bathroom one weekend and somehow never left. Our first date was takeout on my back porch. Cheap wine. Honest laughter. The kind that doesn't perform for anyone. Months later, he said, You know you built this whole life yourself, right? Not just the house. All of it. 7 years passed. Diane never called. Not once. No birthday texts. No holidays. Just silence. I told myself I didn't care. But every time I saw a mother and daughter at the grocery store, laughing, easy, the way family is supposed to be, something tightened in my chest. A small, stubborn ache I couldn't shake. Still, I had peace. Morning coffee on the porch, watching the sun come up over the garden I planted. Weekend farmers markets with Owen, dinner parties with Rhea and Julian, the family I chose instead of the one I was born into. A life built on loyalty, not blood. I was happy. Actually, genuinely happy. I finally had peace. And then they came back. With luggage. And the audacity to think they had a right to it. Then came that morning, 6:47 a.m., 3 strikes on the door. I opened it in my pajamas, tea still warm in my hand. There they were. Diane, Vincent, Amber, suitcases at their feet, and Diane's voice, casual as ordering coffee. "Pack your things, Keela, we're moving in." Diane didn't wait for an answer. She walked past me into my living room like she owned it. Vincent dropped their luggage in the hallway. Amber was already on her phone, wandering toward the bedrooms like she was shopping for apartments. I stood there still holding my tea. "What are you doing?" Diane waved her hand dismissively. Vincent lost his position. "We're downsizing. Amber's taking a gap year before her PhD program. She needs stability. This house has space." "Space for me?" She looked at me like I'd said something ridiculous. "For one person? That's selfish, Keela." Vincent crossed his arms. "We're family. You owe us some grace." From the hallway, Amber called out, "Which room's mine?" Diane settled onto my couch like she was already planning where to put her furniture. "We'll take the master. You can have the smaller bedroom. It'll be like old times." Something sharp twisted in my chest. Old times when I slept in a closet? Her face went tight. "Don't be dramatic." She picked up a photo from my side table. Me and Owen at the farmer's market laughing over fresh bread and terrible coffee. "Still not married? No kids?" She set it down like it disappointed her. "Keela, this house is wasted on you. We need it more." Vincent nodded. "You've always been more solitary. We're giving you purpose. Family." I stood there. Something cold settled in my chest. Not rage, clarity. I thought about the car, the frost on the windows, the rain soaking through my clothes while I stood on their porch begging. The door closing, the lock clicking. I smiled. Small. Surgical. "Get out." Diane laughed. "Keela, you have 60 seconds to leave my house before I call the police." Vincent straightened. "You wouldn't?" I pulled out my phone, started dialing. 45 seconds. Diane's face went pale. "You ungrateful?" 30. Amber appeared in the hallway, confused. "Mom, what's happening?" 15 seconds, and I'm pressing charges for trespassing." They scrambled, grabbing bags. Diane's voice sharp and venomous, hurling words I didn't bother listening to, Vincent muttering threats under his breath. Amber filming again, probably for some social media pity post. The door slammed behind them. I locked it, leaned against it, breathing. Owen came downstairs, eyes wide. "What just happened?" "They thought they could take what I built." "What now?" I looked at him. "Now? I make sure they never come back." I stayed calm. I stayed legal. And that's what destroyed them. Most people don't realize. Revenge works best in a courtroom. Over the next 2 weeks, Diane called 23 times. Her voicemails shifted from sweet to threatening. Then Vincent showed up at my workplace. Twice. Security escorted him out both times. The voicemails kept coming. Day 1. "Sweetheart, let's talk like adults." Day 5. You're making a huge mistake. We're family. You owe us. Day 12. Fine, be selfish. But don't come crawling back when you need us. Amber posted on Instagram. When your own sister refuses to help family in need, char heartless chas, fake family. She tagged me. 67 likes. Vincent showed up at my office twice. Security footage captured both incidents. Him shouting in the lobby, demanding to see me, getting escorted out by 2 guards who looked like they'd done this before. Then I came home one evening and found scratches around my back door lock. Fresh. Deliberate. Someone had tried to force it open. They tried to break in. I called Rhea. I need a lawyer. Now. She connected me with her cousin, Naomi, family law specialist, sharp as broken glass. Naomi sat at my kitchen table and reviewed everything. Every voicemail, every text, screenshots of Amber's post, security footage from my workplace, photos of the damaged lock. This is criminal harassment and attempted burglary. She looked up at me. You have grounds for a restraining order, and if they violate it, jail time. I want them gone, permanently. Then let's build a case they can't wiggle out of. We documented everything. Every voicemail transcribed and time-stamped, witness statements from my office security, screenshots of Amber's Instagram post, archived before she could delete it. Police report filed for the lock damage, photos submitted. A pattern of escalation, a timeline showing increasing aggression. We're filing for a restraining order, Naomi said. Hearings in 3 weeks. Diane, Vincent, and Amber had no idea it was coming. 2 days before the hearing, Diane texted, Family meeting, tomorrow, 6 p.m., our rental. This has gone on long enough. Owen looked over my shoulder at the screen. Are you going? I stared at the text. Yeah. One last time. Let them think they've won. I walked into that meeting with a folder. What was inside? The end of their delusions. If you've ever had to legally protect yourself from family, drop a scales emoji below. I arrived at their rental the next evening, a cramped duplex in a worn-down neighborhood. Through the window, I could see them preparing. Diane arranging chairs like this was some kind of formal intervention. Vincent pacing. Amber on her phone. They thought this was their moment. Their chance to guilt me back into submission. They had no idea it was a sentencing. I grabbed the folder from my passenger seat, got out of the car, walked up to the door, and knocked. I walked in at exactly 6 p.m. Diane's smile was tight, rehearsed. Keela, thank you for being reasonable. Sit. I sat, said nothing. Vincent cleared his throat. We've been discussing things, and we think there's been a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding. Diane leaned forward. You've been emotional, which we understand, but we're willing to move past it. Amber didn't look up from her phone. If you let us stay for 6 months. Vincent nodded. Just until we stabilize financially. I reached into my bag, pulled out a thick manila folder, placed it on the table between us. Diane stared at it. What's that? Consequences. I opened it. Restraining order paperwork, filed and stamped, police report, harassment evidence, every voicemail, every text, time-stamped and transcribed, photos of my damaged lock, security footage of Vincent's workplace confrontations. Diane's face drained of color. What is this? My voice came out calm, surgical. A restraining order, already filed. The hearing is in 2 days, but I came here to give you a choice. Vincent stood up fast, his chair scraping against the floor. You can't. Sit down. Something in my tone made him pause. He sat. Option 1. You sign this. I slid a document across the table. It's a legally binding agreement. You never contact me again. Never come to my home, my workplace, or anywhere I am. 500 feet minimum distance. Forever. and I drop the restraining order. Diane's voice shook. And option 2? I proceed with the hearing. The judge reviews all of this. I tap the folder. And issues a permanent restraining order, plus criminal charges for attempted burglary. Vincent, that's your third offense, isn't it? From the dealership incident in 2019? Vincent's jaw clenched so hard I could hear his teeth grind. Amber looked up for the first time. This is insane. This is accountability. I stood. You have until tomorrow at 5 p.m. to decide. My lawyer will contact you. Diane grabbed my arm. Keela, please. We're your family. I looked down at her hand, then at her face. You stopped being my family the night you shut that door. I pulled free. Walked out. Behind me, I heard Diane start to cry, that high-pitched, desperate sound she made when things didn't go her way. I didn't look back. Cold? Maybe. But when people show you who they are, believe them. Comment, believe them, if you agree. Let's build a tribe of people who chose themselves. The signed agreement arrived the next morning. Notarized, legal, binding. They chose option 1. Naomi called that afternoon. It's done. They can't come within 500 feet. If they try, call me immediately and we prosecute. Just like that? Just like that. You're free. 3 weeks later, I got a call from Oregon DHS, a caseworker asking about Diane and Vincent Hartman's living situation. Was I next of kin? They're not my concern anymore. Understood. Thank you for your time. Later, through Rhea, I heard they were living in a motel off the highway, the same one near where I slept in my car 7 years ago. Amber had moved in with friends. I felt nothing. Not satisfaction. Not guilt. Just distance. Owen proposed on the back porch under the string lights we hung together. Small wedding. 25 people who actually showed up when it mattered. Rhea as maid of honor. Julian walking me down the aisle. Naomi as a guest. Found family. Real family. 1 week before the wedding, a text came through from an unknown number. I heard you're getting married. I'm proud of you, Keela. I always have been. I hope you know that. Mom. I stared at it for a long time, then blocked the number. Looking back, the hardest part wasn't the homelessness. It wasn't even the rejection. It was accepting that the people who were supposed to protect me chose not to, and that I deserved better than begging for scraps of love from people who saw me as optional. Here's what I learned. Family isn't DNA. It's who shows up. Who celebrates your wins without jealousy? Who stays when things collapse? If you're in a situation like mine, where people take and call it love, document everything. Protect yourself legally. Build boundaries that hurt when crossed. And know that walking away isn't cruelty. It's survival. Some will call you cold, selfish, unforgiving. Let them. You don't owe abusers access to your peace just because you share blood. To everyone who stayed until the end, thank you. Your comments, your stories, they remind me none of us are alone. If this resonated, subscribe. I share real stories, real justice, every day. And if you've got your own story about standing up to toxic family, drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Sometimes the best revenge is knowing you survived. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a honeymoon to pack for. And no, Diane, you still don't get to know where I'm going. The rain starts again outside, tapping softly on the roof, just like the night they shut me out. But this time, I'm inside. Safe, warm, surrounded by people who chose me. And the rain? It's just weather now. Nothing more.